Frankfurt, West Germany, 1956. 11 years after the end of World War II, many crimes of the Nazi era still go unpunished. The perpetrators of these crimes are walking free. Many judges, prosecutors, and police officers have already served under the Nazis. Now they have no interest in prosecuting their former comrades for actions similar to their own. For the victims of these crimes, this is unbearable. To end this, Attorney General Fritz Bauer establishes a special unit of young prosecutors with no ties to the old regime. I am Esther Katz. I am one of these prosecutors. We are investigating Nazi crimes and bringing perpetrators to justice. Not to avenge, not to heal, but to show that there are laws that apply to all. It doesn't make us popular. Most want to forget. Some want us to shut up. But they cannot stop us. Nothing belongs to the past. Everything is still present and can become the future again. First day, you've got this, Katz. No point in waiting. I'm not here for an appointment. Looks more like somebody's home than a prosecutor's office. Archive. Hello? Anybody here? Not much of a welcome party.
Now, where
Is this my new office?
Oh, hello. Good morning. Sorry I didn't hear you enter. You must be Miss Katz, right?
Must I now?
It would make sense, this being your office and you looking like the photo. Oh, right. Paula Fischer. Hello. I'm a legal assistant here for Mr. Bauer's team. Well, the legal assistant. We're a bit understaffed at the moment.
I see. And what brings you to my office?
Right, I did not expect you this early. I've brought you this week's newspaper and a letter that arrived for you. Anyway, I should probably be going. I'll be at my desk if you need anything. You'll find me. Or through the intercom. We just had the whole system installed. It made my life so much easier.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Mr. Bauer wants to talk with you once you've acclimatized. His words, not mine. He should be arriving soon for that matter, so should the rest of the team.
I see. Very well then. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you on our team, Miss Katz.
All right then. First encounter, check. Time for me to settle in.
Miss Katz, how can I help you?
That will be all for now. Thank you, Paula.
Always happy to help.
A new job deserves a fresh journal, ready to be filled with notes and tasks. The last holiday, Franz was such a show-off that summer. Always trying to impress the girls. I wish you were here, big brother. Look at that. Written evidence of all those sleepless nights. And the ton of coffee. But here I am. I finally made it. Pretty sure it was all worth it. I'm not letting you down, I swear. Hello?
Mr. Bauer is ready for you. He says at your own time. With him, that means as soon as possible.
Thank you. I'd better get going then.
Good luck.
Miss Kitz, welcome to the front line.
Good morning, Dr. Bauer.
Just mister. We're working together. My name, as you already know, is Fritz Bauer, General Prosecutor. Much to the displeasure of the public, I insist on investigating the many crimes committed under the NSDAP. Most of them, of course, have long since gone cold. And nobody out there truly wishes for us, for you, to solve them. Or frankly, to even touch them. A rather thankless job, may I say. Are you up for it?
I was not aware there would be a test for this position.
This entire job is a test, Miss Kitz. But no matter. Miss Kitz, I believe I have the perfect case for you to start with.
I'm listening.
Hans Naumann, an older gentleman, shot just before the end of the war.
What do we know about the case?
According to the victim's wife, her husband was taken by uniformed men for no reason. He never came back. His body was found in a forest nearby after the war. Shot in the head.
I assume this isn't the first time she brought this case up?
No, it's not. Miss Naumann reported her husband's death to the police. A case was opened. The public prosecutor's office investigated members of the NSDAP local group. They're suspects. However, no charges were pressed. Based on the investigation, Hans Naumann was lawfully executed.
You don't think that's the case, do you?
I have my doubts. The first thing that I'll need you to establish is why Hans Naumann was taken. Depending on the answer, we'll see if the case warrants a full investigation. I asked Mrs. Fisher to prepare a file. It should probably already be on your desk. I suggest you familiarize yourself with it and invite the widow to give a statement. Mrs. Fisher should be able to help you with that. It might also be wise to check the archives. You never know what is hidden in these old boxes. Maybe something about this official order mentioned in the discontinuation report? Ask Mr. Bournemouth for the keys. I believe he has a spare set. Good luck, Miss Kitz.
Right. Get the keys, check the files, and invite the first witness. And I need a refresher on the Nazi hierarchy. Understanding the chain of command will be crucial. Paula did say to ask her if I needed anything.
Miss Kitz, how can I help you?
I need you to invite a potential witness.
Of course. Who should I reach out to?
Ludmilla Naumann, the victim's widow. I want to hear her version of what happened.
Of course, I'm on top of it. Anything else?
I need some additional files.
Something specific?
I need more details regarding NS organizations. Chains of commands, ranks, and badges. Anything you can get your hands on.
Of course, I'll get right to it. Anything else?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
Really small for an intercom. Must be a new model.
Miss Katz, how can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything. how can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything. Miss Katz, how can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
The door is locked.
Oh, hello. Oh, please, forgive the mess. I'm afraid I didn't have the time to clean up. Miss Katz, right?
Everybody seems to already know my name.
Sorry, news spread fast here. Paula reads through everything that passes her hands. So, well, everything. And the word gets around.
Esther Katz, nice to meet you.
Pleasure is all mine. Christoph Olmuth. Christoph, preferably. I try to be on first-name basis.
And how's that going?
It worked with Paula, not with Simon. Didn't dare to try it with Bauer.
In this case, I would prefer you treat me like your male colleagues.
We are a small team. I'd love to tell you that we are small and tight-knit, but, well, happy to have more people join the fight. Especially someone like you.
Mr. Bauer said you have the keys to the archive?
I do. We all. Oh, the spare. I tend to keep 2 sets, as I'm somewhat prone to displacing them. Just let me find it. And there it is. The master key. Be aware of its gifts.
The master key?
It's from a story I used to read. You know, don't mind me. Good luck in the archives.
Ooh, the smell. It brings me back to all the nights at the library. The door is locked. Not the cleanest of places. Does it just go all day long?
How can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will...
Here if you need anything.
The door is locked. found them. These seem relevant to our case.
Paula, how often do I need to tell you that my plaque belongs on my door and not on the floor?
That voice. Oh no.
And how often do I need to remind you that I am not your handyman?
Just fix my door, Paula!
Ugh, no. No. There's no way it's Peter's. Just no. I need to check it. The door is locked.
This better be about my door, Paula. Tell me this is a joke.
My thoughts exactly.
Falda, what are you doing here, Kitz?
Funny. I was just about to ask you the same thing.
I work here, Kitz. I'm Mr. Bauer's right-hand man. And I'm so sorry, but we don't really do marriage disputes for bored housewives here, you know?
Right-hand man? So what? You're his assistant? I thought you wanted to be a well-paid defense attorney. Didn't get the job on account of your wonderful personality, I assume.
Just my luck. So you're the new hire, Kitz.
In the flesh.
You won't last a week.
Oh, so you did find your confidence in the end. Or is it still going to be like that time you scored 4th in class and threw a fit?
Classy, as always. You know what? I don't have time for this. Get out of my office, Kitz. Try not to embarrass yourself.
There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day. Not where I'd expect to find this office, to be honest. But it's a nice corner of Frankfurt nonetheless. I should try.
Miss Kitz, if you'd have a moment.
Yes, Paula?
I found some documents you asked for. They're waiting in your inbox. Oh, and there was a call for you. Asked for you to call back. I wrote down the number, left it with the files.
I have an inbox?
We all do, apart from Mr. Peters. He demands everything behind. I set yours on your desk. It's where I'll be leaving any letters or files for you. And a daily agenda, if that's needed.
Who called me?
I'm afraid he didn't give a name. An older man, I'd say. Sounded very proper, even if he did ignore my questions. Oh, he referred to you just by name, Esther.
Thank you, Paula. Civil codes, the Reichsgesetz, Seneca, and some Franke and Neumann. Quite a collection. Wait, is that a Sachenspiegel? I think Dad had a copy of this edition. Time to get started. Who do I want to call?
Hello?
Father? I didn't expect you'd call me here.
Oh, Esther, my dear, so good to hear you. Did you settle in all right?
I have great colleagues. Well, most of them. And I believe I can do a lot of good here.
I see. Esther, there's something I want to discuss. Do you remember our little talk? It must have been last month.
Is this about that job at your friend's firm? Bergmann, was it?
Bergmann, Kranich and Partners, yes. Bergmann is one of my oldest friends. Family law, very respectable.
Dad, I'm really busy here. Can we talk about this another time?
Esther, let me be very frank with you. I'm proud of you. I really am. A prosecutor at your age? With the view on women on our line of work being what it is? I'd have to be a fool not to. But your mother and I, we are worried. Do you have any idea what they say about power?
There are those who hate him. It means he's on the right track.
To be young and so naive again. He's hated because he's on a witch hunt. Listen to your father. Leave. Nothing good will come from this.
I'll think about it, Dad.
Please do. I just want what's best for you, Essie.
I know, Dad.
I'm proud of you. I know I already said that, but I really am. Like you can't imagine.
I still can't believe Peters is working here. Peters? I wonder if anybody can tell me how this happened. Paula?
Mrs. Naumann just arrived. I showed her to the conference room.
Thank you. I'll be right there. You must be Mrs. Naumann. Thank you for coming. My name is Esther Katz. I am one of the prosecutors in Attorney General Bauer's team.
Good morning, Miss Katz. I am very grateful that you found the time. The last prosecutor who looked into my husband's death didn't even speak to me. He dismissed the case, claiming my husband was rightfully executed as a traitor.
I will certainly try to find out what happened to your husband, ma'am. But first things first. I know it's not easy, but please take me through the day your husband was taken.
It was in April 45, only days before the Americans came.
Where were you that day?
Home. We lived in a small house. Hans was upstairs when the doorbell rang, before someone hammered against the door.
When you opened the door, who was it?
There were two men. One of them was pointing a gun at me.
Do you remember what they looked like?
Both wore uniforms. Brown ones, if I'm not mistaken.
Did they belong to the Wehrmacht?
No. Not Wehrmacht and not police either. Maybe some kind of party officials or something. One of them was small, thin. He wore glasses, I remember that. The second man was bigger. He seemed to be in charge.
What made you think that?
He had 2 golden stripes on his uniform, and he was bossing the small one around. He yelled and waved his gun around to scare me.
Let me stop you for a second. These stripes on his uniform... Could one of these be the badge you saw?
Let me see. Yes, that's the one here. The local group leader, that's the one.
That is very useful, thank you. Please continue.
They demanded to speak to Mr. Naumann. The gun was still there and I was just so... Hans came down and asked them what they wanted. They demanded to know if there was anyone with us. When we said no, the smaller guy looked in the other rooms. He found no one. It was only Hans and I. Then the big one told Hans that he had to come.
Did they say why they were questioning him?
No, they did not. They ignored Hans when he asked for their reason. Then everything happened so fast. The small one said they'd let him go if our son would turn himself in. Then they just herded him out, like an animal.
Did you and your husband live alone?
No, there was also our son Jan. He insisted on staying with us to help around the house, at least until the end of the war. But he wasn't in. He went out in the morning before we woke up.
Did you see something outside?
It has been a while, I'm not exactly sure. There was a car, I think. Yes, one of those big, terrible trucks that they used.
I remember them. They were just everywhere. Do you remember what time of the day it was?
We just had lunch, so it must have been close to 1 p.m. This was the last time I saw him alive. Me and my son never got the chance to say goodbye.
What was that man's comment about your son?
Jan. He was living with us at that time, but he didn't show up that night or the following. He got into some trouble. Bad trouble.
Do you think the men were looking for your son?
I believe so, yes. At least that's what they said. But the previous...
Wait a second. I think it was mentioned somewhere. Please, take a look.
Oh God. Here it is. He recognized him as Jan Naumann. I can't believe there was proof all along. And the former prosecutor just dismissed it. How could he?
I wish I knew. I am really sorry. Please, continue. What happened upon your son's return?
When Jan finally came back, it was already too late. We asked the authorities about Hans, but they pretended not to know anything. After war, my husband was found dead in a forest nearby. Shot. I believe he died the same day they took him.
I would really like to talk to your son about it.
You and I both, dear. But I am afraid that's not possible. Jan died only a few months after his father. Pneumonia. Hans was innocent. They killed him, and that's murder. No matter what they call it.
I hear you, Mrs. Naumann.
Please, Miss Kitz, will you find the man?
I promise. I will find out who is responsible for your husband's death.
Thank you.
We will let you know if we have enough for an indictment. Please, Paula will help you to the door. Goodbye. I should update Mr. Bauer. Can I ask you something delicate?
Of course. What's this about?
Peters.
Oh, what did he do this time?
And that already answers some of my questions. He didn't do anything yet. I just found it strange to see him here. How is his work? Is it any good?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be saying that. I don't even think that, really. We're lucky to have him. He's dedicated, diligent, and very good at his job. Mr. Bauer is more than happy with his results. I just wish his attitude matched his aptitude. Or that he'd clean up his notes once he's done with a file.
What's it like working with...
Terrible. Just... let me tell you, that man has no respect for me and my work. Or anybody else's work for that matter. Maybe except for Mr. Bauer's. But he seems simply convinced I'm just here to be his personal maid, secretary, cook. My coffee, Paula. Where are my files, Paula? What about the witness I asked 2 minutes ago, Paula? And then that damn plaque of his. Don't even get me started.
Is the falling plaque a popular topic?
It won't stay on the wall. I've tried everything. And for some reason, every time it's still supposed to be my fault, my problem. That thing is either cursed or he knocks it down himself just to have something to complain about.
When did he start working for Mr. Bauer?
He was here from the very beginning. One of the first hires. Or even the first hire, according to Christoph. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant Mr. Wohlmuth. Apparently, Peters volunteered as soon as Bauer was appointed district prosecutor. Before there was even any talk of forming a team. I know, I don't believe that either.
Thank you, Paula. I think that's all.
Wait, not so fast. Why are you so interested in Peters?
He was in my class when I studied law. In several of my classes.
I'm so sorry.
That's why I was so surprised to find him here. He was just a pain. Self-centered, snarky, full of himself. Clearly only in it for the money. No ideals. Just ambition and spite.
Oh, we need to get coffee at some point. And well, I don't know. Mr. Bauer does trust him for some reason, so that has to count for something, right?
I sure hope so. Thank you, Paula. Well, hello. And who would you be?
That's Marlene. My son turned out to be allergic, so Mr. Bauer agreed to have her stay here for now.
Looking forward to working with you, Marlene. Oh, hello, Marlene. Oh, I'm glad you are so cooperative. Oh, hello, Marlene. Meow. Oh, hello, Marlene. Oh, I'm glad you are so cooperative.
Hello, Miss Kitz. Any news regarding the Naumann case?
Yes, I think so. After talking to Mrs. Naumann, it seems like Hans Naumann was indeed innocent. The men were looking for his son, Jan Naumann. When they couldn't find Jan, they took Hans instead, the father.
I assume that's what Miss Naumann told you. But are you sure she is telling the truth?
According to the files, the man they were looking for had climbed up a flagpole, torn down a flag, and beaten up a block warden when he was caught in the act. Hans Naumann was 77 years old at the time. Of course, there are older men who are in good shape, but...
Pulling down a flag and beating someone up seems unlikely. I understand.
Yes.
I see, but why did the man take him, if they knew he was innocent?
According to Mrs. Naumann, they took him as a hostage. They were hoping his son, Jan, would surrender once he learned that they had his father.
Highly illegal, even back then. Not uncommon, though. But why did they shoot the old man?
His son didn't turn himself in as they demanded. They could have seen that as enough reason to kill their hostage.
Perhaps, but They hardly gave him enough time. Nonetheless, it is a case for us. For you, specifically. I will officially reopen the investigations tomorrow. You need to find out who was at the crime scene when Hans Naumann was shot. We need witnesses.
I'd start with the names mentioned in the files of the first investigation.
Excellent. Let's get this case to court, Miss Kitz. And be mindful of time. We do not have nearly enough of it here. Since you have never led a case before, I want you to be prepared. Mr. Peters has agreed to look over your shoulder and help you out. Present your findings, prove your claims. Please reach out to him.
I'll do what I can. I'll need and I suppose I should share the good news with Peters. Just great. I had a talk with Mr. Bauer. He wants us to get along, to work together.
I've heard.
Let's just be adults about it, Peters. Peters?
Yes, I've heard you, Kitz. Fine. Here's what we're going to do. Let's just call it a truce. I won't interfere with your casework if you stay away from mine. Agreed?
Is there a reason why I should interfere in your work, Peters?
Plenty. But I'm not getting into that. And as for this whole preparing you for court situation, I swear to God, but there is no point discussing it before you've met the witnesses anyway.
Thank you for thinking I'm a total beginner.
Oh, you're welcome. Someone has to do it, since Mr. Bauer apparently overestimates your abilities. Anyway, get through at least some of your witnesses, and we can get it over with. And while we're at it, don't forget to bring some evidence. I don't want us to improvise the whole thing.
Who do I want to call? He's not picking up.
That poor man. And that poor woman. She lost everyone she loved in a matter of a few months. I really hope we can help her.
I hope so too.
Anything I can do?
I need you to invite a potential witness.
I've got something that might help us with them. I looked into the NSDAP local group from the original investigation. Only a few documents survived the bombing, but I found a group photo and a member list from a few years before the incident. I took the liberty of marking the suspects. One of them, Mr. Schwarz, is dead. But can I get any of the other three?
Please invite Mr. Faltmann.
We'll reach out immediately. Anything else?
I need some additional files. The member list is helpful, but I'd still need something more about our suspects. Can you get me the files?
I'll reach out to the Berlin Document Center. But, just so you know, they tend to take their time. Anything else?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day.
Good morning, Miss Katz. Miss Katz! Miss Katz! The witness you asked me to contact, Alfred Faltmann, just arrived.
Thank you, Paula. I'll be joining you in a minute. The door is locked.
Est, Miss Katz. Welcome.
A quick save, Mr. Wormwood. You're getting better. A few more weeks and you just might get it right straight away.
I sure would hope so. Actually, before you start, would you mind if for a change I ask you a question?
Is it something important?
Not particularly, just idle curiosity.
I'd rather not, to be honest.
Of course. Well then, what can I help you with?
Can I ask you a few questions about the work here?
Ask away.
I was a bit surprised we are not at the main office.
Right, Bauer's idea. To put it simply, he was and still is afraid of sabotage. Too many people there he wouldn't trust. Files went missing, evidence got misplaced. So he decided to rent this place and repurpose it. And here we are.
How long have you worked for Mr. Bauer?
Here? Almost since the beginning. Which sounds good, but really means just a few months. We are a new team.
Have you worked with Mr. Bauer before?
Didn't get the chance, no. And even here, it's not exactly working with him either. Under would be a better term. Usually, at least.
I have a different question. I have some questions about somebody.
Who would that be?
Our legal assistant, Paula.
She's wonderful. She can be a bit of a pain, but she's wonderful. Truth be told, the whole place would fall apart without her. But don't let her hear that.
What do you mean she can be a bit of a pain?
You might have already noticed, but she can be rather, let's be honest, nosy? Unless you get something in a sealed envelope, it's safe to assume that she's already taken a peek. I don't personally mind, but I believe it can get on one's nerves.
This place falls apart without one legal assistant?
Without our only one. And that woman does the work of an entire team, without complaining. Well, no, she does complain, but not earnestly. Just don't ask her for coffee.
Coffee?
Don't. Trust me on that.
What can you tell me about working with her?
You can rely on her. You need any files, if they still exist, she will be able to get them. And she takes the initiative. She starts searching for them even before you realize you might need them. Which again? It might have something to do with how she reads through everything she can get her hands on.
I have a different question. Can I ask you a few questions?
Ask away.
And before that, what did you do?
3 years in Hamburg, public prosecutor's office as well. Didn't really fit in there. And before that, well, that's a different story.
I think that's all for now.
Don't be a stranger.
The door is locked. Mr. Faltmann, my name is Esther Katz. I am investigating the death of Hans Naumann in 1945.
What are you investigating? The case has been closed.
New evidence has come to light. My department and I are checking whether the case needs to be reopened.
Sounds like wasting the German state's money. Just one question. Your name, Esther Katz. Are you Jewish?
I don't see how this is relevant, Mr. Faltmann.
Oh, I'm just curious, but I see I must have touched a nerve.
Mr. Faltmann, please tell me what happened on April 28, 1945.
My superior asked me to arrest some sort of insurgent. A simple task I gave to my subordinates. I was quite surprised when I saw who they brought. I asked if they were sure they got the right man. The crimes that had been committed.
I must interrupt you. I was told a different version. Mr. Faltmann, you were the local group leader at that time, correct?
That is correct, miss.
According to our witnesses, one of the men who took the victim from his house had the insignia of a local group leader's, with, of course, none of the other members of your group bearing that rank. Why then do you claim it was your subordinates who brought the man to you? And how could you be surprised by the suspect's identity if you arrested him yourself?
I don't know. It was such a long time ago.
Mr. Faltmann, I must inform you that you are legally obliged to speak the truth here.
Don't you snap at me, young lady. The whole thing happened over 10 years ago. I must have simply remembered it wrong. Either way, I still wanted to release the suspect. That's how it was. But Schickert insisted, so we took him back to the district office.
The district office, where was it?
The cellar of a previously bombed brewery. We had to relocate with all the bombings. It was cleaned up beforehand, of course. As much as was possible with the manpower we had. With how the war was going, we had to make do. Schickert and Kiebitz waited in the corridor as I spoke with the district leader, Mr. Schwarz. But he dismissed my doubts. Alfred, my man, you worry too much. It wasn't my place to doubt his decision, I thought. So we left his office and he gave the order.
What did he say?
That for his crimes against the German people, the prisoner was to be executed.
How did the men react?
I can't recall. It has been quite a while. I think they were a bit uncertain. Kitz, at least. I wanted to discuss the order further, but Schwarz went back to his office.
What happened after Mr. Schwarz left the hallway?
We went to the captive. Kitz, Schickert, and I. I was hesitant, of course, and let's be honest, in those times heads rolled pretty quickly for defying orders.
This must be the cell. Where was the victim kept?
One of the cells, previously a storage room. Tight, dirty quarters with a small barred window. As soon as we entered, I hadn't seen him this up close before. I realized I just couldn't follow through with it. I told my men to stop.
What did you tell them?
That this could not have been our man. We had to convince the district leader to reconsider.
Did they agree with you?
Kitz did, but Schickert, on the other hand, he wouldn't even consider it. The man was a maniac, usually harmless, obsessed as he was with hierarchy. But at that point he had this fanatical look on his face.
What did he say to you?
That he would report me to the Gestapo. Now, you know what that would mean, but that didn't matter. I knew Mr. Schwarz. I knew he would understand. I ordered Schickert to stay put and left. I was certain I could convince him this time.
Did you succeed?
I didn't get the chance. I was halfway through the hallway when I heard it. A gunshot. Schickert had gone through with the execution.
How do you know? I thought you had left the room.
Right, but it must have been him. He was so persistent about following the order.
What weapons did the people present have? Standard issue equipment?
Not at that point in the war. We used whatever was still left. If we could get our hand on a gun or a rifle, somebody got it.
The place was a brewery. Did you prepare the cells for the prisoners?
Not personally, but yes, a few rooms were modified adequately.
Do you know what weapon Mr. Schickert used?
I didn't see it, so no. The one he was issued, I suppose. What does it even matter?
I know what weapon was used to kill the man. I just need to know who had it. How long were the prisoners usually kept there?
Can't say. It depended on the case. However long it took for justice to be served.
And what does adequately mean?
It's been a while, miss. And I can't say it was something that occupied me. They were for criminals.
A brewery cellar seems a weird place for a district office. How did you have enough power for it to function?
Often we didn't. All those Allied bombs made sure of that when they leveled the city. We had to rely on our backup generator. That and oil lamps.
We had these oil lamps everywhere. In the bathroom, in the living room, in the kitchen. They must have had petrol to run the generator, or to destroy evidence. Did you have any contact with the surrounding local groups?
Of course. We had an older model radio station connecting us with the rest of Bavaria, or what was left of it at that point in the war. Mostly other groups around Munich.
They seemed to scream forever, and you could still hear the bombs falling. I think I'm still missing something. Describe the office of Mr. Schwarz to me.
It was sufficient. At the end of the day, it was just an abandoned cellar. It was the one room with which we did the most, let's say, renovation. For a man of Schwarz station, it was nothing more than an, again, sufficient office.
So, District Leader Schwarz wasn't further involved with the execution?
Why should he be? There were more important issues that needed his attention. His responsibility was to make the decision and give the order.
There was no execution order in the files I got. If it exists, I should check if I can get my hands on it. What were Mr. Schwarz's responsibilities?
He was the district leader, the highest authority in the city. The question should be, what weren't his responsibilities? Everyone in Munich answered to him.
I should consider the chain of command. What can you tell me about working for Mr. Schwarz?
It was a true honor. Comrade Schwarz was an exemplary German and a magnificent leader. I have him to thank for my work ethic. I learned much from his example. We all did.
What about you? What was your role in the district?
As a group leader, I made sure Mr. Schwarz and the party's will were enforced in the city. He needed somebody he could trust, someone who would see to it that order was maintained. That was me.
Can you tell me more about Karl Schickert?
A damned idealist. He wouldn't shut up about duty and Prussian values. Still, I can't say anything bad about his work. Always diligent, hardworking, and unbearable perfectionist.
What can you tell me about Mr. Kiebitz?
Exemplary subordinate. Loyal. One of the few people among that band of ingrates I knew I could rely on. Unfortunately, Schwarz knew that as well. Kiebitz might have been a member of my local group, but he mostly worked directly for the district leader.
You said you had mentioned your doubts to Mr. Schwarz.
I did. I tried to convince him to reconsider. Unfortunately, he remained unbudging.
Do you remember how long the two of you talked?
Well, now that's... well, can't say. It must have been a while. Quite a while. I did try my best. Unfortunately, once again, it wasn't enough.
Was the victim your only prisoner at the time?
It's been almost 15 years, for God's sake, woman.
11.
You can't honestly expect me to remember details like that.
When did you move to the cellar?
2 months back, mid-February, after those pigs burned Dresden.
Spending entire days in a damn cellar. They must have been bored and tried to pass the time. Can you tell me more about your local group?
We were Schwarz hands, so to speak. While most local groups were responsible for a section of the city, we were assigned directly to the district office.
Did many prisoners share the victim's fate?
If they deserved it.
Did the group members drink on duty?
It was clearly forbidden. We did our best to enforce this rule even in those days. But most likely they still did. Just learned to hide it well.
What happened if you or Mr. Schwarz caught any of the group members drinking?
Usually I took pride in running a tight ship. You smell of alcohol while on duty? Dismissed. But at that point, they got away with just a slap on the wrists. We needed all the hands we could get, drunk or not. And with the Yankees on the streets, we all heard the bottles calling.
If they were dismissed for drinking, what would be the punishment for disobeying an order? So, just to confirm, Mr. Schickert shot while you were not in the room any longer?
That is correct. And that is all I know.
Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Faltmann.
I take back what I said in the beginning, Miss Kitz. Perhaps it is right to reopen this case after all. Have a good evening, miss.
I should update Mr. Bauer.
I wouldn't bother.
The door is locked. The door is locked. Did you see Mr. Bauer?
I wish I did. He got a call and had to leave. Urgently. Let me tell you, he was in quite the rush. Murmuring something about Argentina, of all places.
Guess I won't be updating him today. I need some additional files. According to the suspects, the shooting was ordered by the deceased Mr. Schwartz. But I saw no copy of such an order in the original case's files.
That's weird. I'll look into it right away. Anything else?
Is there any chance some files regarding the group members' responsibilities remained? Mr. Kibitz's specifically. I want to know if he, at any point, worked directly for the district leader.
I'll see what I can do.
I need information on the equipment used by the local group. Weapons, mainly. As bureaucratic as the NSDAP was, they must have kept some sort of record.
On it. Anything else?
I need you to invite a potential witness.
Of course. Who should I reach out to?
Please invite Mr. Schickert next.
We'll reach out immediately.
Oh, and did you have the chance to talk to Mr. Wohlmuth yet? He found the blueprint of the old brewery that you might find useful. It's where the district office was located at the time of Mr. Naumann's arrest.
Any updates on the suspect's personnel files?
I've made the request, but no news since then. Berlin's as silent as always.
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Now this one was sure full of himself.
You know, you really remind me of Kati.
Kati?
We had her when I was younger. Looked just like her. Wasn't nearly as friendly, though. No, she wasn't. Oh, hello, Marlene. Oh, I'm glad you are so cooperative. Oh, hello, Marlene. Meow. Who do I want to call? No luck. That's weird. He should be in. Who do I want to call? The line is busy.
Miss Katz, how can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now. What a mess. Whew. It's really freezing in here, and the heater does not seem to be running. Need to remember to bring an extra sweater as soon as I have any work done here.
Cuts.
Peters. I have some questions about somebody.
About whom?
About Mr. Bauer.
Mr. Bauer is a good man, a righteous man, an idealist, very professional, and very good at what he does. Even if he can be a bit difficult to work with at times.
One more question. I have some questions about somebody.
About whom?
You, actually.
You want to talk about me? Should I feel honored?
I thought we had agreed on something.
Right. What is it?
It's been a while since I've seen you.
Luckily.
How have you been?
You do realize this is the most I've been well enough, Cuts. Well enough.
And you were engaged, right? Julia?
Judith. Close enough. I'm surprised you remember. It didn't work out. We didn't see eye to eye on some issues.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. Not anymore.
What do you do here?
Same as you. Get a case, work it, get it to court, win. We all work on separate cases, if that's what you meant. Usually, at least. It's just, there's so many of them. And there's so few of us. And there's nowhere near enough time.
Did you keep in touch with anyone?
From the university? No. We tried at first, but...
They stopped because of your winning personality?
Didn't you say we had agreed on something? We exchanged some letters with Walter, Ziegler...
They're in Bavaria, right?
Munich. Still, over time, we just stopped. Then I took up this position, and the few people that were left started avoiding me like a leper, including Judith.
Thank you. That's all.
Katz, how can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Miss Katz,
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Esther, right? Sorry, Miss Katz. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Taking a break?
A short one. Luckily, it's a slower day. I'm just so sorry about the mess here. I got a bit lost in a lecture. Either way, forget it. What can I do for you?
I had some questions, if you don't mind. Paula told me you have something for me? Some sort of blueprint?
Right. Let me just see, where did I put it? What a mess. I've been just buried in all of these papers since morning. Altöttinger Straße 35. There we go. As we can hardly access the original crime scenes, blueprints like this ones are our second best thing. They are what you will be using in court to reconstruct your case.
Thank you.
It's not a problem at all. We need to have each other's backs here. So, who do you think did it?
I'm sorry?
The old man. Who shot him?
I think it could have been Schickert.
And is that what your witness told you?
Yes, it is.
Just remember, you can't always trust what they say. People lie, misremember, make honest mistakes, even more so when they're potential suspects. Our role isn't to retell their testimonies in court, but to build theories of what actually happened, which might be different from what any witness tells you. But here I go, babbling away again. Sorry. Shouldn't keep you any longer. Hope you find the blueprint useful.
Actually, I have some other questions.
Oh, thank God. I'd take any reason not to go back to all this.
Can I ask you a few questions about the work here?
Ask away.
I think that's all for now.
Don't be a stranger.
There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day.
But on her first case.
Still, functioning free press is simply crucial to the...
Wait, shh, I think she's coming up. Good morning, Miss Katz. Have you seen the news yet?
So, what were you saying about these news?
Oh, there's an article in today's Blatt. Have you seen it?
That tabloid?
That might still be too nice a word for them. A filthy rag slandering you with lies, Miss Katz.
Me?
I'm afraid so. They didn't include your name, though, thankfully. But uppity female prosecutor in over her head can't really refer to anybody else. It's typical, really. Whenever we achieve something, they're right there mocking us for trying. Don't even give it a second thought, Miss Kitz. It's lies, all of it.
If they're angry, it means we're on the right track.
That's the spirit.
Miss Kitz!
The door is locked. Yes, Paula?
The witness you asked me to contact, Karl Schickert, just arrived.
Thank you. I'll be joining you in a minute. Mr. Schickert, I didn't expect you yet.
Arriving on time means you're 15 minutes late.
I'm glad you're so cooperative. Thank you for coming. My name is Esther Katz. I am the prosecutor in charge. I'll cut right to the chase. What happened on the 28th of April back in 45?
So, you're finally reopening the case, aren't you?
Yes, we do. There are questions that have to be resolved.
It is time for some gentlemen to answer for what happened back then.
Just to be clear, you are referring to?
Kibitz and local group leader Faltmann.
So, your superior and your colleague. What had happened?
On that day, Faltmann, Kibitz and I had captured an alleged insurgent. We had taken him to the district office and locked him in a cell. It was an old man.
Was his name Hans Naumann?
It's more than 10 years ago. I'm pretty certain that this was his name, yes.
Please describe the situation.
Shortly after, the two men came out. Pointing to the cells, the district leader gave the command.
What kind of command?
He ordered us to shoot the prisoner.
Why did you relocate the office?
Because of the big air raid, we wanted to be underground. We hoped that we would be safer there.
Can you tell me more about your local group?
We mainly wrote reports and helped in the district where help was needed.
For how long did Mr. Faltmann talk to Mr. Schwarz?
It was just a short meeting, maybe for a couple of minutes.
How was working with Mr. Faltmann?
A power-hungry bully who kisses his boss's butts and belittled his subordinates.
And that's if you were on his good side. Let's say his threats shouldn't be taken lightly.
Interesting. I should ask Paula if she can find any information about this. How did you and Mr. Kitz get along? You both held the same title?
Mr. Kitz. Yes, we both were local group members. We did not get along so well.
How did you fit into this local group?
I have always proudly done my duty. I oversaw security.
How was working under District Leader Schwarz?
He was a strict man with defined values. Easy to work under because he was so organized and knew the strengths and weaknesses of each member.
Were your group's actions documented?
Certainly, but that wasn't my task. District Leader Schwarz took care of it. But most of those files were destroyed, unfortunately.
If somebody did stay with Schwarz, it could have been documented somewhere. Were there any other prisoners at that time?
No, the old man was the only one that day.
Spending entire days in a damp cellar. He must have been bored and tried to pass the time. Was it common for prisoners to be executed?
No, we were a local group, not the SS.
How did the members of your group spend their free time?
They went drinking together. Not me though. I don't drink. I prefer being home early and getting a healthy sleep. The district leader returned to his office together with Mr. Kitz. Mr. Faltmann asked me to follow him. Together we walked down the corridor to the cell where the old man was kept.
How did you make sure you had enough electricity?
We had a generator for power outages and oil lamps.
Was your local group in contact with other local groups?
We were in permanent contact with all the other Bavarian groups.
I can still hear the air raid siren in my head. I remember Mom waking me up. Pack your things, get into the basement. Who prepared the cells for prisoners?
A few colleagues from the local group. It did not take much to set up.
Just a bucket and that's it?
They were prisoners.
What did Mr. Faltmann do?
The group leader raised his voice.
Do you remember his words?
He told me to shoot the prisoner.
And did you shoot the prisoner?
No, I did not. The man was clearly innocent.
How did you come to this conclusion?
He was accused of... what was it again? I remember someone mentioning it.
Just a second, I have that somewhere. According to the former prosecutor's report, Mr. Naumann carried out highly treasonable actions.
That's what they called it, all right. But what kind of actions are we talking about here? The whole thing didn't match up.
How did your superior take your refusal?
Not well. He yelled, and I argued.
Do you remember your words?
I told him that it made no sense and that we should refrain from doing that. Group leader Faltmann then threatened me. He said he'd report me to the Gestapo, that I would be severely punished, possibly killed.
But you still refused.
I did. I just couldn't do it. I left the room. Outside the cell, I met Kitz, who was about to enter, a gun in his hand, cocked. The next thing I hear is the shot.
So what you are saying is that Mr. Kitz shot him.
He did indeed. I know it.
But why would he do that? What was his reason?
What do I care about his reason? What he did was wrong. That's why I'm glad the case has been reopened. You break the rules, you get punished. That's the way it should be.
We will make sure the right people face the consequences, Mr. Schickert. Thank you for coming in.
The pleasure is all mine. Goodbye, Miss Kitz.
Interesting. The suspects contradict each other in multiple aspects. I should see if I can make some sense of this on the blueprint and get this meeting with Peters over with.
Miss Kitz, there was a call for you. Actually, it was multiple calls.
Yes, Paula?
It's your mother.
Did something happen? Is something wrong?
Oh, no, everyone is doing fine. More than that, splendid.
Right.
She just wanted to talk to her daughter, very urgently.
Now that was quite an interesting development. Somebody sure is lying. But who? Can't say I envy your job right now, Miss Kitz. Apart from that, how can I help you?
Are there any updates about the personal files?
I suspect I already sound like a broken record to the Berlin Document Center. Sadly, no news yet, but I will keep you on track once I hear something.
I need some additional files. One of the suspects mentioned something interesting about Mr. Faltmann. Could you check if there was anything strange happening with his subordinates? Threats, blackmail, anything?
Of course. I'll start looking. Anything else?
I need you to invite a witness.
Of course. Who should I reach out to?
Just one man left. Hermann Kitz.
Will do, Miss Kitz.
Miss Kitz, I take it your sparring with Mr. Peters went well?
He was very collegial.
Yes, I've heard the two of you don't see eye to eye. I'm glad to see it hasn't proved to be an issue. Now, how's your work progressing?
I've interrogated two of our suspects. They contradict each other in almost all of their claims. Can't even agree on who was present for the murder. They're shifting blame. One says Schickert shot. One, Kitz did. And there's no definitive proof for either version.
So it's word against word. Unfortunate, but not unexpected. Very well, considering the nature of this investigation, I'd say it's still proceeding apace. One suspect left. Hopefully, he will be able to clarify some of our doubts, either him or the files. Which would leave us with one final issue. court, once you've heard the final testimony, you need to prepare to present your case. That means reconstructing the course of the crime and finding proof that would back it. As mentioned, Mr. Peters will help you out. Teach you how to present your findings, prove your claims. It will help you to familiarize yourself with the ins and outs of court. We cannot afford to fail at court, and preparation is the key to success. That's why I urge you to start with your training right away and build your theory. Once you hear from all witnesses, we need to move to court quickly. I hope it's all clear?
Of course.
Apart from that, how can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
Who do I want to call?
Katz.
Mom, what happened? You've been calling non-stop.
Essie, are you all right? We've been so worried.
Where is this coming from, Mom?
The tabloid, of course. Didn't you read what that hack wrote about you?
I didn't expect anyone paying so much attention to me. It's disturbing, to be honest.
You poor thing. I just hope no one else figured out it was all about you. Oh, how embarrassing that would be.
Mom!
What? not. Essie, I worry about you. People are confused enough about the origin of your father's name as is. Now, with that article, I'm just afraid of what other people might think of our family.
I see.
But enough of that. Let's focus on the now. I have wonderful news, Essie.
What? You can't just...
I just invited the Müllers for coffee this Saturday.
We were just talking about me destroying our family. And now you want to tell me all about the Müllers?
Oh, don't be like that. You have to come. I'm dying to show off my smart daughter.
Who are the Müllers? Do I even know them?
I don't think you have met them yet. They just moved into the piano floor of the house opposite.
Wait, did the Webers move out?
No, the other house. The Langs. You remember the Langs, right? Thomas Langs. He used to work at the bank. You used to play with their daughter. Black hair, a ponytail, always got her dress dirty. I just can't remember her name.
I really don't know who you're talking about. Anyway, I can't this weekend.
Oh, what a pity. The Müllers are really nice people. And they have this good-looking son.
Mom!
All right, just mentioning it. No ulterior motives. Another weekend then. Are you free the week after?
I need to get back to work now, Mom.
A shame. Get back to me soon, will you?
Sure. Bye, Mom.
Goodbye, Esther.
Oh, good you're here. Mr. Peters asks me every 5 minutes where you are and when you're coming. Not only Peter's patience is growing thin.
Is everything okay?
I don't want to sound unprofessional, but working with him is a pain at times. Why does he always have to be so rude?
I don't know what his problem is, but I have little hope that it will ever get better.
Well, I hope you're wrong.
So, the dead flies on my desk. Your handiwork.
Oh, I'm so sorry. She must have slipped in when I brought the newspaper. Apart from that, How can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
The door is locked.
Honorable Miss Kitz, would you be ready then?
I think so. How are we going to do that?
I will act as defense and court, and you will do your part.
But have you studied the case well enough to actually help me here?
Yes, I did. Some people have to take their work seriously, you know. Anyway, you present your prosecution, support your conclusions with evidence, and win the case. And I'm trying to stop you from doing just that. Should be a piece of cake. For one of us, at least.
Alfred Faltmann, the local group leader, ordered the execution. One of the accused.
Now it is up to the defense, in this case me, to object if they disagree with your statement. Objection. According to the witness statement, it was Mr. Schickert who gave the order. Now the judge will try to find out who is right, and ask you to back up your statement with evidence. Can you support your claims with meaningful evidence?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman.
There's no need to be so formal. It's only a mock trial.
I just want to be prepared. Can I continue?
Sure.
This should prove it.
But this says nothing about them ordering the execution. Did you even read the document you just presented? This is serious business, Kitz. We are trying to put some of the worst criminals against humanity behind bars. Almost the whole country hates us for it and would love seeing us fail. We can't afford a lapse like that. You are on the wrong track. I would suggest for you to go back to the blueprint board and rethink your theory.
I must have missed something when I was preparing the case files.
That's it for now then. Kitz.
Peters?
If anybody saw me,
Paula?
because of course people have nothing better to do than spy on me in the court archives.
Behind.
He's driving me insane.
Hello there.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss Kitz.
I tried to warn you.
Zip it, Christoph.
What were you talking about?
Mr. Peters, and how much of a bother he can be. Which I'm sure you know better than anyone.
Shush.
Don't know if you've noticed, but he's been getting really paranoid lately. Convinced there's spies everywhere.
Seriously?
What? You've said so yourself. And I doubt it's news to Miss Katz.
I've noticed him acting a bit weird. What do you know?
Yes, well, he asked me for some files, which is normal. But then he started asking if anybody was following me when I got them. And he was sure somebody had to. Wouldn't be convinced otherwise. Called me incompetent and blind when I said no.
It's not the first time he behaved like that.
It's the first time with me. He's always been weird about his work, but not like this. Whatever that new case for Mr. Bauer is, it isn't doing him any good.
So, these talks, you do them often?
Oh yes, they are our Whining Wednesdays.
Christoph!
A wonderful tradition, don't you think?
So, taking a break?
A short one. It just became much more entertaining.
I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you've come in. I'm sorry you had to hear all that. I shouldn't have said any of it. I keep losing my temper with that man.
She means Mr. Peters.
I'll just let you get back to it. Oh, hello, Marlene. Oh, I'm glad you are so cooperative. Oh, hello, Marlene. Meow.
from that, how can I help you?
Thank you, Paula. That will be all for now.
Here if you need anything.
Let's get this over with, Kitz.
This time, I'm better prepared.
I hope so.
Alfred Faltmann, the local group leader, ordered the execution. One of the accused.
Objection. It's wrong, and you should know better, Miss Kitz.
Why do I get the feeling you enjoy this?
Because I do. Now concentrate. The judge will ask you again to show him documents that prove your claim. And this time, it would be good if you had some.
I do indeed have them. According to this, it was not Mr. Schwarz who gave the order, but in fact...
Stop. Out. Hold on. Kitz, what do you think this is? This isn't your daddy's law firm anymore. We're working here, Kitz. This isn't a game. I am training you so you can win your case. So you can put these murderers behind bars. And everyone out there, everyone, will try to stop you from doing that. So please, pull yourself together and pay a little bit more attention. It was Mr. Schwarz who gave the order. That's what Hermann Kitz told you when you interrogated him. Several of your files support it as well, and nothing in your files says otherwise. So let's assume it was Schwarz, shall we?
I guess so.
This was the last time I did your job for you, Kitz. Now back to work. Knowing the right answers is often not enough to win your case. You also need to form the right conclusions. Conclusions the court is willing to follow, because they are plausible, and because you can back them up with evidence. A valid conclusion is always based on several clues. The one clue we are very certain is true is that Schwarz gave the command. So your conclusion should be based on that. Open your case file and give it a go.
this makes sense. I think I got it.
This doesn't work. Just as I feared. Just as I feared, your task was to link further documents proving that Herbert Schwarz gave the order for the execution, not whatever this is. Then let's hope you do better in court.
I understand. Thank you, Peters.
Enough practice. Your case is waiting. Better luck next time.
What now?
You can't finish your theory before hearing that last witness. So you could go home. Personally, I like to be prepared, so I tried to see if I can find more conclusions. But I was always willing to go that extra mile. You do you.
Peters?
Cuts?
There's nothing left for me to do. I should call it a day.
Good morning, Miss Katz. Oh, and there was a letter for you. I left it on your desk. Miss Katz!
Who do I want to call? He's not picking up.
Mr. Kitz has just arrived. He's waiting in the conference room.
Was there anything unusual about this letter? Did you notice anything off?
Off?
Was it brought in normally? Delivered personally? Or, I don't know, anything?
Can't say. It came with the post, like letters do. Is everything all right?
It was a threat letter.
A threat? Oh dear. I'm so sorry.
You're sure you didn't notice anything out of place?
I'm sorry.
Right. Either way, I do have a witness I should be interviewing. Better get going.
Right. Still, if there is anything I can do, just say the word.
Good morning. My name is Esther Katz.
A pleasure, miss. Could you tell me how long I have to wait for the prosecutor?
Mr. Kitz, I'm the prosecutor here.
Oh, modern times, I guess. How long will this take?
Won't be too long.
Good. So, let's get this over with.
This is about the arrest of Hans Naumann in Munich on April 28, 1945. According to a witness, 2 men picked up Mr. Naumann from his apartment. Were you one of them?
You're pretty, you know that?
Mr. Kitz, were you one of those men?
No, I wasn't. We drove to the house. Then our group leader and Mr. Schickert got out of the car to arrest the men. Then they tossed the old man into the car and headed to the district office.
Please describe the situation.
District Leader Schwarz came out and gave the command.
What command? What did he say?
He ordered us to execute the man. Then he left. I felt uneasy. This wasn't right.
What were your local group's responsibilities in the very last days of the war?
We were responsible for all concerns and for many households within Munich. Above all, we tried to eliminate insurgencies.
How many people were in your local group?
Around 10, but we were never all present at the same time due to shifts and different responsibilities. 11, 12. No, we were down to 11 then. The Gestapo took Ludolf back in January.
So the Gestapo threat wasn't something new. Why did you relocate the office?
Because of a big air raid. We wanted to be underground. We hoped that we would be safer there.
For how long did Mr. Faltmann talk to Mr. Schwarz?
Miss, it was over 10 years ago. I don't remember. Couldn't have been too long, as Mr. Schickert didn't have enough time to really get on my nerves.
Did Mr. Schwarz even get to see the victim Hans Naumann?
Not entirely sure. He was in his office when we brought the perpetrator.
The victim?
The victim into a cell.
If Schwarz didn't see the victim, did he know they had the wrong man? What did he know? How was your relationship to Mr. Schwarz?
He treated me fairly and friendly. I learned a lot from him.
How was working under Mr. Faltmann?
Great. He was a good leader and a better man. It was a pleasure to work with him. Even though some people might have disagreed, we had our share of malcontents in the group. But he knew how to deal with them effectively.
What were your responsibilities in your local group?
Most of the time I accompanied District Leader Schwarz and drove him when he needed a driver. He knew how to convey power and discipline.
How did you and Mr. Schickert get along?
He and I didn't have much to do with each other. We were just part of the same local group. He was no feast for the eyes, a cranky guy, strange. Always strict with his work, but annoying from time to time. He was obsessed with Prussian virtues.
Were there any other prisoners at that time?
Obviously, yeah. We adapted part of the storage rooms as cells.
Were summary executions common?
In those days, yes. We followed Group Leader Faltmann to the cell. There was tension. We all entered the cell.
What was Mr. Faltmann doing?
Group Leader Faltmann seemed to hesitate. He shared my concerns about killing the old sod. He told us to wait. Yet Schickert insisted. He referred to that new order about dealing with insurgents. He was such a stickler for the rules. He could be really annoying about these things.
What did he say?
He yelled he would report us to the Gestapo. Faced with this open threat of being denounced, we did not dare to act. The tension was strong. Group Leader Faltmann ordered us to wait once more, but Schickert drew his gun and shot him.
Were the compartments prepared to host prisoners?
Kind of. We adjusted them so our prisoner could stay there for interrogations and not get out.
Being locked in a cell like this, not knowing what would happen next, this must have been so hard. For how long were the prisoners held in these cells?
Mostly around a week.
How did you ensure the energy supply?
The district struggled to produce enough energy. There were frequent power failures. For emergency, we had a generator. If worst came to worst, we used oil lamps.
Was your local group in contact with other local groups?
Just in Bavaria, there were 28 local groups. We were in constant contact with them.
I can still hear the sirens in my head. They seem to last forever. But it may just have been a minute full of despair, if you survived it. So what you are saying is, Schickert shot the old man against Mr. Faltmann's order?
Exactly.
That's horrible.
These are brutal events you're getting to hear here. Are you sure you're up for it? Honestly, no one would think this is a job for a woman. What do you have to prove? I will file a formal complaint.
What would you like to complain about?
About talking to you instead of a real prosecutor.
I see. Well, if you think that's necessary, go ahead. Thank you for your time, Mr. Kitz.
Goodbye, Miss Katz.
That's all the witnesses. Let's see if I can make some sense of this.
Miss Katz, 1 second. If you have a moment, I have something for you. So, I know it doesn't balance out the morning, but there's at least some good news today. One word, Berlin.
Did the document center come through?
Here you go. Personal files for Kitz, Schickert, and Faltmann.
Finally.
Right? Just in time. I know that you have just questioned the last witness. Have you discovered any new leads? With a few calls, I might be able to get hold of a few more urgent documents for you. But I would need to do so right now, and I can't guarantee they'll make it in time.
I might actually take you up on that. There's a chance that Mr. Schwarz did not see the victim himself. If that's the case, my question is, what did he see? What did he know when he ordered the execution? I'm going to need whatever files would have been on his desk on that day. All that he could know about the victim. Arrest report, personal file, records, intake forms, whatever there is.
That's quite a wide net. I'm on it, of course.
Anything else?
I better get back to the reconstruction board then. Esther Katz speaking. Hello? Anybody here? Hello? Great. Just what I needed now. Not disconcerting in the slightest. Esther Katz?
Essie, it's good to hear your voice. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I didn't like how we ended our last conversation. I know your mother's little parties are hard enough on you already. I shouldn't have brought up your work in the first place. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lose my temper like that.
Thank you, Father, but why does Bauer make you so angry in the first place?
Oh, Esther, you couldn't possibly understand all of it, and nor can he. He wasn't here when it all happened. He didn't see it for himself, live it. He says we should have done more, while he's the one who deserted. For me, it was never a choice to leave. But how should he understand it? His kind never really felt at home anywhere. And now he leads this self-righteous inquisition. It's hard to stomach. With that said, I'm calling because of a different matter. It's close, isn't it? Your first trial?
I hope it goes well.
Oh, nerves. I remember that whenever I was feeling trepidation about a case, I would take a long walk by myself. I'd go over every little detail, every question, every step. It usually helped.
Thank you, Father.
But Esther, after the trial, I'm sorry, but please, please remember what we've talked about. It's not too late to leave. Nobody would think less of you.
I would like to see this through, Dad.
I see.
There's something I need to tell you. I just received a threat letter.
That's much earlier than I'd have expected. I knew Bauer wasn't a good idea.
Earlier? So you expected this to happen?
At some point, yes, of course. We all, or most of us at least, do, when it comes to the really bad cases. Especially in that team of Bauers. I knew it was a bad idea.
This isn't about Bauer.
Right. It's not about his, and by extension your work, upsetting the public. None of this would have happened with Bergmann, Kranich and partners.
Can we please, for once, not talk about your friend's law firm?
You're right. But this is just exactly the thing I was afraid could happen. But so much earlier than I thought it would.
What should I do? What can I do?
Nothing to do, I'm afraid. You can report it to the police, but they won't probably be of much help. It's just a letter. A horrible one, but still, it's just paper. And some ink, I suppose. Nobody would dare to actually act against the public prosecutor. We are civilized.
Yes, just like we were civilized 20 years ago.
That's a good point. But it's different. You're a servant of the law, of justice. And for anybody who'd call himself German, that matters. It has to. As for the letter, try not to think about it, as hard as it seems. Personally, I used mine as kindling for the fireplace. No point in holding on to trash. This way it was at least somewhat useful.
Well, I better get going now. Still lots of work to do before the big day.
I understand. I'm always here for you, and also, good luck, Prosecutor Kitz.
It must have been like this. This makes sense. It must have been like this.